Welcome back to Six Quantum Bridge Podcast. This is your host, analyst, and researcher, Bernadette. You are listening to a 2025 Marathon podcast, a 2025 Rising Star podcast, and a 2025 Most Shared podcast. You're about to find out why. Today, we want to talk about the geometry of the shameless. Specifically, what spirit is operating through the destiny swapper? Let's put this out so that you can see exactly what these particular spirits look like, so that when you see what they operate like, you can attribute it to the destiny swapper that you're dealing with, so you know exactly what is working through them. Because once the shameless spirit manifests, by that point, the host that has been parasited off of with these shameless spirits, they take over on a level where the destiny swapper starts to look like them. All right? So let's get into it. So today's theme is destiny swapping, somatic sovereignty, and the proxy pivot. First things first. We're entering the spiritual streets to discuss a phenomenon rarely mapped in the destiny swapping spaces: the architecture of the shameless. We aren't talking about simple jealousy. We are talking, and let me correct that. Jealousy and envy are two different things. Jealousy is when you are dealing with somebody that wants to take something that's yours, that's rightfully yours. That's jealousy. It's more protective. Envy is invasive. It doesn't believe that you deserve to have something that they want. They think they can be you better than you can be you. So, we're going to be talking about envy as opposed to jealousy, about the mechanics of how a spirit without a source attempts to laundry its identity through yours. I should say launder, okay? But it's actually a washing, so I guess we can say laundry, but we're going to use launder. A lot of these destiny swappers, 99% of them, I would say all of them actually, are not close to God. And when you're not close to God, you don't have the warmth. You don't have that source that you're close to anymore. So you have to get close and warm your hands on the light coming from somebody that you're trying to destiny swap, if you're a destiny swapper. So we're going to be looking at the faces of these spirits across history and the very geometry of the bodies they inhabit. So let's start with the faces of the shameless in their male and female forms, okay? In every culture, the shameless spirit is recognized by its lack of internal light. It's a hungry ghost. Now, there is a card deck. I think I have the card deck. I don't know if I donated it or if I still have it. And one of the cards is the hungry ghosts. So this is an actual thing, okay? Now, in its female manifestation, look to the Japanese noperabo, or the faceless mimic. or the Greek anadeia or anideia. Honestly, I don't care if I'm butchering the names of these spirits, because why would we care? These spirits appear gracious and poise-filled from a distance, but they have no features of their own. They wait for a source to manifest a beauty. Like, for instance, let's say a Slavic heritage look, and then they wear that face as a mask. Okay? They will really study the one that they want to destiny swap and attempt to look like them to try to fool the spiritual world. You see, even if you have work done, your facial features are encoded in the spirit. So if you try to change your face, you're not going to be successful. That is, if you're educated on this, which I'm trying to educate you on this now. They're not going to be successful because they are changing their face to try to look like the person that is getting these blessings. But as I said a moment ago, your facial features, whether you like them or not, that's something that you have to work on. Your facial features are stamped in the spirit. This is why I will never, ever, 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 ever get facial work done. Ever. I don't care if you like my nose or my lips or I don't care. Everything. And I have a episode here on the nose and the role of the nose. Okay. So anything that you don't feel good about, you gotta do some kind of discernment there as to what is whispering in your ear that you're ugly, that you need to change something. That is a spirit that is trying to have you change your facial map. And there is facial mapping in China. Okay, they do face reading. Okay, and if you change your face, you're essentially giving away your birthright. Listen, as for me, I may be pretty to some people, I may be ugly to some people. It's irrelevant which one you think. Because my face, no matter what it looks like, is stamped in the spirit. It's this marker that is recognized in the spiritual realm. Nothing that I change about it. Makeup is something different. Makeup is just color being put on your features you already have. It's just you with color. That's it. I'm talking actual changing of the facial features. Like we have talked about Huda Mustafa and how she may have had blessings attached to her with the old face, but now since she's gotten rid of that old face and changed it, she basically changed the facial mapping that would have the spirits that are attached to her recognize her in the spiritual world. Your facial features are like your thumbprint. They're like your fingerprints. They're like a social security number in the spiritual world. You change it, you change your destiny. So, that being said, in its male manifestation, this often takes the form of the preta, Preta, or the incubus. It is a heavy spirit. It doesn't just mimic, it oppresses. It sits on the person to shush them. This is the spirit of insatiable consumption that would rather destroy a sacred grove than see it flourish. One depiction is of a man with a very thin neck and a bloated stomach. It can never, because of the thick stomach and the thin neck, swallow enough food to satiate it, to make it satisfied. It's always going to be hungry. Please don't think that if you're dealing with a destiny swapper that you are the first. You're not. I can guarantee you that. They've done this before. You're just the one that's aware of it. How many people have they done this to before that weren't spiritual and weren't aware of what's going on? Awareness, even if you never sling a spell, awareness does a hell of a lot more than slinging a candle magic, okay? Being aware of things does a hell of a lot more. Discernment does a hell of a lot more than actual ritual. Let's talk about the proxy pivot with destiny swapping. If they don't want the subject of their destiny swapping to know that they're watching them and that they are actively trying to copy them, they will go through a third party. This is what I don't see talked about here on social media. We talk about destiny swapping up the wazoo all the time. You can find a lot of material on it, but we never talk about the third party, the surrogate. When they don't want you to know that they are copying you, slowly taking parts of your style, things you're connected to, let's say that you recently found an aesthetic that you are into that complements your skin tone and all of this and your style and your personal style. And you see this person constantly pivoting to copy you, but they don't want you to know that they are copying you because you're aware and you've been going back and forth. Maybe you've been going back and forth in a repost war, okay? Subbing each other, okay? Effectively saying, I see you copying me, so I'm going to give you something to watch. And they start taking things, how you apply your eyeliner, your lipstick color, even your shoes, especially if those shoes are meant to mimic, that's the word of the day here, height they don't have. Let's say that this destiny swapper is quite on the short side, and I did a Napoleon complex episode on this podcast, okay? And this person may have seen, I should say heard, that episode, and it did something. Something switched inside, okay? So now they know that you know that they are watching you, so they can't make it obvious that they are copying you, so they will try to go to a surrogate, somebody that represents the style you have, and copy them, effectively copying you. It's the surrogate. They want your style because they love how it looks on you, and they will never admit that to you. But they don't want you to know that they are copying you, and they don't want the world to know that they are copying you. So they will go to a surrogate, somebody that represents the style you have, and start copying them. It's a psychological game that they play. See, I still can copy you, but I can use plausible deniability now. Because technically I don't look like you, but it's still the style that you have. Do you see where I'm going with this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Effectively, they were caught in the act, and this is when they find that third party. They are effectively telling the world, I'm not copying her. I'm inspired by this person. No, It's identity laundering. Much like criminals will take money that they get from their crimes and launder it through something that looks good on the surface. Think the show Breaking Bad, how Walter White was making money by being a meth king, but he had to launder that money through a car wash. Okay? It's the same idea here. They still want to take your destiny. They want to take your style, everything about you, but they know that you know, so they can't go and copy you directly anymore. So they're going to find somebody that represents what your style is and start copying that. Sort of to play like a psychological mind game with you, but this is why this episode was created, to warn you of that. They use this surrogate to stay connected to your frequency while pretending that you don't exist. It's a cowardly strategy designed to rob the source of their flowers while the mimic puts on an air of poise. Now, this is something that I also don't see talked about too much in the spiritual spaces, and that is somatic sovereignty and the geometry of the chakras. Now, I touched on this briefly in a previous episode, but I feel that body shape has a lot to do with the dominance of certain chakras that that person is using, is very rooted in, okay? Let's look at this database of the body. Character is physical. Let's say posterior dominance. Let's say you have a lot of hips, a lot of ass, okay? Thick legs, right? That's lower chakras. Lower chakras equal lower energy, equal lower vibration, okay? Basal, survival, okay? Will be shaped more like a pear than a number 8, okay? Think of the somatics here. If you're top heavy, bigger chest, wider rib cage, bigger bosom, more aligned with the upper chakras, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, and going up and up and up and up, okay? So look at the shape of the body, and it'll show you what chakras they use to A, do their magic, and B, what chakras are aligned with them. Because the lower the more behind, thick legs, everything, and look this up. This is not my opinion. You can look this up, okay? It'll be somatically very connected to the chakras that they are using. And also what they're able to bring into their life. Look, for instance, if a witch has a very big bottom, right? They can manifest followers, money, things, but they can't manifest love. Consequently, very small on top. There's no dominance somatically there. And again, if you alter the body, you're trying to alter the destiny, but your body shape is also stamped in the spirit, much like your face. You try to get implants. Spirit is going to know the difference. This is not how you were born. This is not how you were created. Spirit can't be tricked. I don't care. Spirit cannot be tricked. The universe cannot be tricked. There's a common misconception that the universe can be tricked, which is what these destiny swappers adhere to in order to do their destiny swapping. So let's look at this even deeper. For instance, the bottom heavy trap. When a spirit is anchored primarily in the lower triangle, because there's two triangles, there's the upper and the lower triangle. Okay, this is sacred geometry. The lower triangle is root and sacral. They will be very hypersexual. A lot of pictures showing their behind. Okay, it's very obvious that they are low vibrational, pulled into the earth. Okay. And that focus is on survival, envy, and primal consumption. Without any anterior expansion, volume in the chest area, the energy becomes crabs in a barrel. Much like gravity pulls them down, they try to pull other people down like crabs in a barrel. They seek to pull others down to basically ground themselves because they lack their own internal pillar. Now, let's look at anterior dominance, those that are top heavy. The heart forward source. When your architecture is anterior dominant in the chest, heart, and throat, and even look at what you do for a career. For instance, I do this. I use my voice. You hardly see my face, but you definitely hear my voice. That's in the upper chakras. Higher vibration. And I happen to like my upper part. When I want to dress sexy, of course, that's going to be shown a little bit because I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm proud of my cleavage, okay? I like to show it off when I want to feel sexy, okay? Because I was blessed with that. My Slavic part of me is, we tend to be very robust chested, okay? All right. Many, many years, I personally had felt some type of way of not having much of a behind, okay? And then when I looked at it somatically and how it's sacred geometry, that I'm built that way for a purpose, it made me appreciate the fact that I wasn't bottom heavy. Okay. Now, of course, I still have the nice legs and everything, but they tend to be a little on the slender side as well. Okay. I look more Slavic than I do Hispanic. Okay. So that's just the way that I'm shaped. Okay. And I guess you can call this tall person geometry because the eye goes upward instead of downward. Okay. And not just physical height, because I'm 5'8" tall, and I'm just so happy that tall people are having their moment now, and there's a lot more focus on that with the tall tour and all of that stuff, and we're finally getting our flowers. Okay, so I love it. But besides that, we tend to be dominant in the chest, heart, and throat. Okay, and this is why when I talk about twin flames, the heart is the part that's talking, okay? Which is why people like a destiny swapper cannot manifest love. This is not personal opinion. This is not personal grievance. This is just somatic facts. Your body shape is going to show you just how you're set up with your chakras, and whether you can tell if a person is high vibrational or low vibrational by how their body is. Now, is this to say that somebody that's shaped like a number 8 is balanced? In this context, yes, if you talk about it spiritually, but it's also a case-by-case basis, okay? But if we're going to put this into generalities and into the majority, yes, okay? It's the seat of the third eye and the heart in the upper triangle. Look at sacred geometry in meridians, in the body meridians. Start studying the body meridians. There is feng shui in the body as well, okay? Now, let's talk about the Clash here. I'm not talking about the band. I love the Clash. Let's talk about the bottom dominant person, okay? Now, they can buy 6-inch block heels to simulate height, and we all know that that's why you're doing it, okay? Come on, honey. Let's take something very specific. I'm going to take a very specific example, and that person that listens to me might not be very happy that I'm saying this, but oh well, kick rocks. When your whole, how do I word this? When you're so proud of a certain feature of your body and you're willing to cover it up to look like the style of the person you're trying to destiny swap. But in order to do so, you have to get the highest height in heels that you can to try to equal up and look them eye to eye. This no longer becomes about style. This becomes a physical using fashion marker of how you intend to try to rise up and meet that person eye to eye. Sometimes fashion tells us more about a person's spiritual stasis than anything else. What they choose to put on their body. Okay? But even when they do that, they cannot simulate the anterior expansion of a heart-centered creator. The simulation always fails because it lacks the top-heavy spiritual authority to carry the weight of the aesthetic. Okay? To the mimics watching, the proxy pivot has been identified and the shameless spirit has been named. To those that have been destiny swapped, you don't need to fight the mud. You just need to expand your chest, lift your chin, and take up the space unapologetically. That's what I'm doing. This lesson in just how powerful I am took 5 decades, nearly, to figure out. But I have. Better late than never, as they always say. The mountains belong to the ones that can breathe at the summit. Stay bodacious. Stay tall. And most of all, stay in your lane. This has been 6 Quantum Bridge Podcast. And this has been your host, Bernadette, your host, analyst, and researcher. I hope this gave you something to chew on. Study about somatics and how the body architecture is very closely linked with that. It'll help you appreciate your body the way it is so you don't have to change anything about it. I love having my Slavic frame. Being top heavy means that my heart is full, means that I attract love easily. So for those that don't like what I'm saying, I don't know what to tell you but kick rocks, okay? Because the only ones that would have a problem with this are karmics. And I do happen to know that karmics do listen to my podcast, okay? But with that being said, guys, I will see you in the new year. This is probably going to be the last episode for the next couple of days until the new year. I'm going to take this time to relax with my family and ring in the new year. Stay safe out there. If you can, stay home and celebrate with family because there's a lot of crazies outside, okay? I live in New York and there's a lot of fucking crazy people. We need to open up the asylums again. I mean, really, we really do. Just throw them in there. I mean, come on. Crazy fucking people, okay? I love you guys. Again, stay aware, stay discerning, and stay in your lane. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Please follow me here and also follow me on my sister podcast, the Psychic Splinter podcast. Talk to you soon.